pour a cup of coffee and wake the kids. It's the Central Ohio High School Showcase with Derrick Owens Jr. Now here's your host of the C.O.H.S.S, D.O. Jr.
Good morning. What's good, everybody? How y'all feeling out there? This is the Central Ohio High School Showcase, the C.O.H.S.S. Your man, Derrick Owens Jr., man, we have completed the regular season in high school football here in Ohio. 10 games up, 10 games down, and a lot of surprises, I would say, when you look through it all. Go back and just take a look at where we started, where we're going to end up now and heading into the playoffs. I think there would be a lot of surprises about teams who are making an advancement into the playoffs, some teams that took some losses this year kind of unexpectedly, teams on the rise, some teams that have to wait till next year to get back. We're going to get into a lot of it here on the C.O.H.S.S today. Also, we have a very special guest, one of the best players in the state of Ohio, wide receiver, defensive back, Mershawn Rice from Reynoldsburg. He's going to be here in studio with us to talk about the historic season that Reynoldsburg, the Raiders, have had this year. Some amazing games, tremendous record, 9-1. They're going to be the top seed, and they're part of the region heading into these state playoffs. So very excited to have Mershawn here, and we'll talk with him like we do here on the C.O.H.S.S, just about his athletic career and his commitment to the University of Purdue. Just a strong young man on the field and off the field, and we'll have the opportunity to do that as well. Excited for that. You want to stick around for that, definitely. As you know, I want you to like the page, share the page, comment on the page. Did your team make it into the playoffs? Did your team barely miss? Do you wonder why some of these rankings out here, like, what do you got to do to get in the playoffs? Canal Winchester, 9-1, doesn't make it in. Wow, it's a lot we could talk about. That one kind of had me bummed out. I wanted to see them. I wanted to see the young freshman Stephon Bird in the big on the big stage there. We'll have to maybe wait till next year for Canal Winchester. But look, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you can check out the show. Let to have you comment and hear your thoughts out there, your opinions about the season. But let's get into it like we always do. The C.O.H.S.S score rundown. I'm going to go through all the scores from last night, winners and losers, and we'll talk a little bit about some games. And then, as you know, we'll get into our pick six later and that interview with Mershawn Rice. That's going to be fire. Stick around for that. Let's get into it. Thursday night, Reynoldsburg, the team we're talking about here, had been hot all year. One little blip at Gahanna, but they got it done. They went on the road to Lancaster, a team that had won 6 in a row. They had been playing lights out with victories over Pickerington North and Pickerington Central. So Lancaster was playing great. Reynoldsburg went on the road, took care of business 28-7, 4 interceptions for the Reynoldsburg's defense, 2 return for touchdowns. Big time performance there. Pick North, another team we just talked about. This was a big game. We'll get into it more in the pick six. Pick North 14-10 over Gahanna. Gahanna's going to still keep playing, though. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Pick Central 40-0 over Grove City. Olentangy 42-21 over Westerville Central. Olentangy Liberty 42-0 over Westerville North. Olentangy Orange and Zach Harrison 17-0 over Westerville South. Dublin Kaufman, they're going to be the 2 seed, it looks like, in a tough region. But Dublin Kaufman gets it done. A tremendous season, 17-0 over Upper Arlington. Upper Arlington really needed that victory to have a chance to get into the state playoffs. It just wasn't meant to be for the Golden Bears. Marysville, 36-6 over Central Crossing. Hilliard-Davidson, another top team in the state, top team in this area. Impressive performance last night, 49-13 over Westland. Hilliard-Bradley, a team I think we don't talk enough about. Tremendous season. Only 1 loss on the year, 49-0 over Delaware. Dublin Jerome, 26-6 over Worthington Kilbourne. Hilliard Darby and Dublin Scioto, 13-11. Hilliard Darby gets the victory. I was listening to this on the radio last night, and just a heartbreaking way to lose for Dublin Scioto. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Thomas Worthington, 27-24 over Olentangy Berlin. Canal Winchester, a team I talked about in the opening here, 27-7 over Big Walnut. Newark, 12-9 over Franklin Heights. New Albany, 24-10 over Groveport. Let's get into some City League scores. Another team that had a really solid season, going to finish off at 8-2. That's Northland, the Branham brothers. Shout out to Khalil. Shout out to John Branham over there. Shout out also Jesse Pruitt. They get it done 7-0 over Beechcroft. Centennial, 32-27 over Weststone. Columbus East, 28-0 over Lyndon McKinley. And if you've been following the news, you know that these two schools are going to, starting next year, Lyndon McKinley will turn into a middle school only. The high schoolers from Lyndon McKinley will go to East. I heard the last night at the end of the game, it was not a pretty sight when these two teams had to shake hands. But I hope we, as the community, can get past this and embrace these young people and kind of help them to succeed in the future. But East and Lyndon going to be merging programs here starting next year. But last night, in the last night of this historic rivalry, anyone from Columbus Public Schools knows about Lyndon McKinley and some of the great athletes and programs that they've had way back in the day. I'm talking like 70s, 80s, and some of the great players there, along with East High School. The tradition at East High School is unlike any other in Columbus Public Schools, especially as far as basketball is concerned. But East High gets the victory last night, 28-0 over Lyndon McKinley in that rivalry's last game. Eastmoor, a team in Division III that I think they have a shot. Okay, 43-0 over Afrocentric. Savon Edwards, another big night. In my opinion, possibly the D3 Player of the Year. Keep an eye on that. Columbus Briggs, 50-0 over Columbus West. And then another big-time rivalry that may have some implications moving forward about schools being left open and closing. Marion Franklin gets the A6 victory over South. Columbus South, you want to keep an eye on those two programs and schools as well. Marion Franklin gets the victory in this rivalry game, 8-6 over Columbus South. Walnut Ridge. Walnut Ridge has been a topic of discussion, not only on this show, but within the high school football season. They get the victory over Independence, 35-0. It looks like the Scots are going to make it into the playoffs. We talked about this team. Loads of talent. Keon Magwood, Julius Wood, Isaiah Murphy, the quarterback. They have players everywhere. They're going to get an opportunity to play on the big stage, it seems, and I'm very excited about that as well. Shout out to Walnut Ridge Scots over in the City League, 35-0 over Independence last night. Another game we'll talk about in our Pick Six, a huge rivalry game, Watterson versus DeSales. Watterson gets the victory. That was a mild upset there. And then a game that surprised me pretty much, Hartley and St. Charles. Hartley gets the victory 6-3. St. Charles hadn't had that kind of a season, but played them tough last night. So Hartley with the victory 6-3 over St. Charles. Columbus Academy 42-21 over Grandview. And another huge game that was also in our Pick Six, 34-15. Whitehall gets the victory over London. Two of the best players in the area. For Whitehall, it was Raymel Bird. He had another huge video game night. And for London, it was KJ Price, the running back, over 2,000 yards. It wasn't his night last night, but he still hit that century mark, which I like to see the young man go out on. But that was a big-time game, and it looks like both of those teams will be in your state playoffs as well, Whitehall and London. So definitely want to continue to see those teams play out there as well. Tays Valley gets the 9-0 victory over Amanda Clear Creek. Bloom Carroll, 42-7 over Logan Elm. Hamilton Township, 34-8 over Circleville. Worthington Christian, they fall to Byrne Union, 22-15. Fisher Catholic, they get the victory, 25-22 over Zanesville Rosecrans. Granville, they get the victory, 33-7 over Watkins Memorial. Lincoln Heights, they fall to Lincoln Valley, 36-7. Johnstown, a team that is playing some good ball out there. They're going to be in the state playoffs as well, 46-0 over Heath. Newark Catholic with the victory, 38-9 over Northridge. Mifflin, they fall to Aurora 41-6. But again, I want to shout out two young men over there at Mifflin, Tavion Scales and Amon Thornton, two of the best players that you may not know about just because the season didn't go the way Mifflin wanted it to. But those two young men are some tremendous players and athletes. And Amon, I'm ready to see you on the track, man. I see you out there, and as we get through basketball season. But he's tremendous on the football and on the track as well. Amon Thornton is at Mifflin. Reedy, they get the victory over Bexley, 24-3. And that's going to wrap up the C.O.H.S.S. score rundown. Just another game just to keep you updated on. Today, Harvest Prep is going to play Fairfield Christian. So that'll wrap up all the games from the weekend. So a lot to get there, a lot to dig into. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. I'm playing a little bit under the weather. Just bear with me. Bear with me. I'm here for you. Playing a little bit, like I said, a little bit under the weather, but we'll get through it. Absolutely no question about that. So the C.O.H.S.S. score rundown we just completed. Like I said, it's some wins and some losses. Some teams lost and still got in. Some teams won, still didn't get a chance to advance. I would like to see teams kind of stay in their division though a little bit. If you're Division 1, maybe go down to Division 2 and that's about it. And if you're Division 2, maybe you can play up a little bit Division 1 or down to a Division 3, but it just seems kind of weird, man. I hate to see these teams with tremendous records, 9-1, 8-2, and get left out the playoffs. We got to find a better way to get this strength of schedule thing going here. That'll help out a lot of these teams, coaches, and programs within the area. But some tremendous program records this year, even some teams that didn't make the playoffs. So let's get into the pick six, the C.O.H.S.S. pick six. G. Shout out to my man, producer G there. Hey, if you got any comments at all, I'll try to get those and look those up and give you a shout out. So let's get into the C.O.H.S.S. pick six. First game I want to talk about, we talked about this a little bit. Dublin Scioto versus Hilliard Darby. Okay. Dublin Scioto came in with a 7-2 mark. They needed a win to get into the state playoffs. Hilliard Darby, they needed a win as well to solidify their opportunity. I told you I was listening to this game on the radio while I was, finishing up the night, and it was crazy. I called it 4th down and 8 with about a little bit over a minute left to go in the game. Okay, Dublin Scioto has the ball. They pick up a 4th down. Quarterback makes a tremendous run down to the 25. They have the ball down 13-11 with about 6 seconds left. Then a strange set of events happen. Dublin Scioto spikes the ball, okay, but there's a penalty on the play. So the penalty, they wave the flag off, which means that Dublin Scioto had to down the ball again. And during that play, the snap was fumbled. Dublin Scioto never got the ball, and the clock expires with them having an opportunity to spike the ball and kick a field goal. They have a very good field goal kicker. He had just made a kick from 47 yards in this game already. And that's how Dublin Scioto falls. And it was just it was a tough one just to listen to. I can only imagine being the fans of Dublin Scioto and just watching that. It was a tough one to watch. But congratulations to Hilliard Darby for staying in the moment. There was an injury to, I want to get that because I want to. I'm sorry here. But, yes, Kyron Rogers is the quarterback. He made a big play to get Dublin Scioto down to kind of set up the field goal. And Kenyon Pennell, our thoughts and prayers, we want to go out to him. He had an injury late in that game. From what I hear, the ambulance came out and had to take the young man away. I did see a post from his dad on Twitter saying that Kenyon Pennell was okay. He was resting. But our thoughts and prayers definitely want to go out to that young man. He's a big-time player for Dublin Scioto, and I think they kind of missed him when that went out, and I don't know if that kind of contributed to the play at the end, but it was something that that both teams kind of were scary for in that game. So, again, we hope young Pinnell is going to be okay there. But it was a crazy game. Darby gets the win. Dublin Scioto, what could have been. And that game would have definitely guaranteed them a spot in the playoffs. So it was a tough OCC battle there, 13-11. But Hilliard Darby gets the victory and solidifies themselves with a spot in the playoffs. That was crazy, just listening to that. Let's move on to pick 6 to DeSales versus Watterson. This is one of the all-time great rivalries in Central Ohio in the Catholic League. DeSales, they have one of the best players. We've talked about him before, Joey Velasquez. He had a big game last night, over 100 yards rushing. But it was actually Watterson. Watterson gets the victory. That's a big upset for this team. Watterson, they've had some highs, they've had some lows. Good to see them end the season on a high note. The DeSales, they had a tough schedule, man. They did a lot of traveling. They played teams kind of wherever. It didn't matter. Back alleys, freeways. DeSales was there to kind of get it in. And it was just tough on them. But, again, in Division III, with great teams like Eastmore and Hartley, DeSales wasn't able to, to get enough victories to get themselves into the playoffs. They would have needed this one on Friday. And for Watterson, just something to build on, something to go into the next season with, and see if they can continue to build on that momentum they got from this victory over their arch rival, and have a successful and hopefully a playoff season for them next year. Let's get into the third game of our pick 6, and that is Delaware versus Hilliard Bradley. Okay, Hilliard Bradley, to me, underrated. We talked about on this show before what they lost. For them to be right back at 9-1 again, Bradley, they're kind of dominating the OCC Cardinal right now. They've won 3 consecutive championships, so they have a solid program. For Delaware Hayes, again, they had a legendary coach, Coach Golden, who fell on some health issues, and they had to kind of rebuild this program, restabilize it, and it looks like they've done that. A solid record for Delaware this year. But Hilliard Bradley, man, this is a team that somebody's going to have to deal with in the playoffs. We don't get a chance to see a lot of them. I haven't personally, but they do throw the ball around. Quarterback, receivers, high-scoring offense. You see 49-0 last night. I think that, teams are going to be surprised when they face a team like Bradley if you haven't had a chance to see them all year. But I think this could be a sneaky team as we get into the playoffs and, progress through. Is this a team that can challenge a Davidson, a Pick Central, a Reynoldsburg? We don't know. We'll get to see that, them have that opportunity as we move forward. So definitely a big game last night. Hilliard Bradley and Delaware. Hilliard Bradley gets the victory. They improve again to 9-1. And they're going to be a problem, man. Going to be a problem in the playoffs. Let's get to game number 4. I didn't put this game number 6 because London Whitehall, that was a pretty big game. And I still putting together that outstanding interview we're going to have later with Mershawn Rice. But this game was played on Thursday night, Reynoldsburg versus Lancaster. Again, we talked about it a little bit earlier, how Lancaster had won six games in a row after starting 0-3. But this season for Reynoldsburg, man, it's been amazing, man. Historic. Reynoldsburg knocked off both Pick Central and Pick North, as well as Lancaster did, which is why this game was kind of so intriguing to me as well. I don't think anyone going into the season would have said that Lancaster would knock off both Pick Central and Pick North, and also Reynoldsburg would also knock off Pick Central and Pick North. It just kind of tell you where, how the season played out. Teams really took a step forward, really were impressive. But this game right here, Reynoldsburg versus Lancaster, Reynoldsburg was tremendous, defensively amazing. 4 interceptions, 2 return for touchdowns. Mershawn Rice, he had a 90-plus yard interception for a touchdown. And shout out to my man Breon Eddings, who had another big pick six to kind of seal the victory for that game against Lancaster. Lancaster, man, like, they got a lot to build on. We know what kind of program that is. They'll be back next year, I'm sure, with another group of young men that will that'll have their sights set on the playoffs. But I think with Lancaster not making the playoffs, but I think if you ask those young men the kind of season that they've had, knocking off Pick Central, the defending state champions, beating Pick North, beating Gahanna, I think that those young men would say that they've had a solid season. So congratulations to Lancaster, the Gales, and their staff and their community. But Reynoldsburg, man, it's been lit. It's been lit in Reynoldsburg all year, man. First 6-0 start since 1961. They take a tumble at Gahanna. They come back, and they just run off the rest of the games, man. And it's been a great team to watch. So many pieces, offensively, defensively. Desmond Cooper on defense, he's a stud as well. But I want to take this moment to talk about a young man that I really don't think has been getting nearly enough credit as the season progressed. He's really been efficient. He hasn't blown any games for Reynoldsburg. And he's won a couple, to be honest with you, and that's the quarterback, Michael Watley. He's been playing tremendous. Now, don't get me wrong, he's got great weapons to throw to, but I think he's been so poised, stands in the pocket tall, delivers good balls to, the weapons that he has, Rice and Canby Goff and, others out there. So that young man, I think, has been underrated when we start talking about the really solid quarterbacks in the area. We talk about Mike Lowry and we talk about Michi over at Pick Central, and there's some other really good ones as well. But this young man, Michael Watley, I want you to keep an eye on him. He's only a junior. Reynoldsburg has pieces coming back. And I think not only will they make a strong run for a state championship this year, but they're going to have an opportunity to build around this young man next year as well and have another outstanding season. So that's just kind of what I took from the Reynoldsburg game. Had the opportunity to see that on TV on the CW. But it was really, really impressive what this team has been able to do all year. And I'm very excited to speak with Mershawn later on, and so he can tell us in his own words how it's been around the campus of Reynoldsburg. Game number 5 in the Pick Six, Pick North versus Gahanna. We all know why this was a big game. Mike Lowry, the quarterback of Pick North, he played at Pick North as a freshman. Sophomore, junior year, he played at Gahanna. Senior year, he's back to Pick North. This was a big game. Pick North needed this game to kind of make a run for the playoffs, which fell short. Gahanna, they had handled their business kind of prior to, and they were going to be a playoff team. Pick North gets the victory, 14-10 over Gahanna. I thought this would be a really good matchup. Mike Lowry, the weapons that they have there, Tyler Foster, excuse me, and the other weapons that they have, so many, just to name Chris Scott, that's another receiver they have, against Gahanna, who has some really solid DB. Shout out to the guy, LaCar Trent, out there. Justice Harris on offense, running the ball. And it looks like that's what they did. It was a 10-7 ball game late. Pick North gets a touchdown to go up 14-10 with Gahanna unable to answer. And sometimes, man, like, life is always 20/20, okay? Some people, they understand why Mike Lowry went back to Pick North. He want to kind of finish that out with his teammates and some of the young people that he had grown up with before. But Gahanna, people didn't necessarily think that Gahanna would have this type of season. They did. They're going to be playoff bound. And really just a shout out to Gahanna, man, even though they didn't get the victory last night, on the overall, they're going to continue to keep playing. And for Pick North, it's going to be a rebuild again next year. They're going to have to find another quarterback. look, they've been blessed. In the last 4 years, they've had Mike Lowry and they've had Jimmy Wyrick. Jimmy Wyrick was the state player of the year last year. So they've been in good hands in the quarterback position. They're going to have to groom another one. I know Coach Nate will over at Pick North, and they're surrounded with a lot of talented athletes as well, and I'm sure that they'll bounce back. It's not the season that I think that they thought that they were going to have, but a lot of teams stepped up and made it really difficult. So, yeah, it was a big game. Pick North gets the victory. Gahanna moves on, and that was a tough one. Game number 6 in the C.O.H.S.S. Pick 6 games of the week. I've been talking about this one for a couple weeks now. London, they've been on a roll. It didn't look like they were going to take any losses through 9 weeks. Whitehall, they had the early loss to Westerville Central. But other than that, they've been on a roll. They've had some impressive victories as well. And this one in the Mid-State League, it was all Whitehall, man. They got a chance to play the game at home. London brought in their talented star running back, K.J. Price, who was over 2,000 yards on the season. But it was really all about Whitehall and Raymel Bird. He had a tremendous game. He rushed for over 200 yards, multiple touchdowns. The weather was bad, so he carried the ball a lot, and the passing game wasn't really there. But it was definitely a matchup of two of the best players in the Mid-State League. K.J. Price did in one sequence in the first half. There was a touchdown, a short one by Raymel Bird. The kickoff came. The very next play was a 62-yard touchdown by KJ Price. The kickoff came, and the next play was a 62-yard touchdown by Raymel Bird. I mean, they were putting points on the board very, very fast out there last night. It was an exciting game, but again, Whitehall 34-15 over London. Whitehall is going back to the playoffs. London with a 9-1 record, they're going to be headed to the state playoffs as well. I think both of these teams have an opportunity. Now for Whitehall, they want to win a game. Whitehall has never won a game in the state playoffs. We did get a chance to talk to Raymel Bird early in the year. He was a guest on the C.O.H.S.S, and he said that was the team's biggest goal, was to win a game. And I do think they have the leadership with Raymel at quarterback and some talented pieces around him to get a victory this year. As a matter of fact, I'm going to call it now. I don't even know who they play yet, but Whitehall gets a victory in the playoffs this year. Be great for those young men over there and for that community. And reading up, looks like they're going to try to get field turf over there as well. That would be huge. Whitehall wants to be a player in athletics in Central Ohio, and they're taking some necessary steps to kind of put their school and their program in a position to get that done. And again, for London, outstanding performance by K.J. Price. Loads of yards, touchdowns. Didn't even play in all of the games this year, so he could have put up, however many yards he wanted to. I was glad he hit the century mark, but Whitehall is tough defensively and, is strength on strength. So both of those programs are solid. Going to be having an opportunity in the state playoffs as well. So, yes, that's the C.O.H.S.S. Pick 6 teams games of the week. And now, man, I'm really very excited. I'm going to take a small break here. I'm going to get hydrated a little bit and kind of get myself together. And then we're going to be back with one of the outstanding athletes, one of the outstanding football players, student athletes in Central Ohio, in the state of Ohio, wide receiver, defensive back from Reynoldsburg. We're going to talk about the historic season that they've had and some of the great players that he's been able to share this with. Mershawn Rice. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the C.O.H.S.S. That's the Central Ohio High School Showcase. We do this every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You should all be checked in because I'm very excited to bring to the C.O.H.S.S. today, again, one of the top players, not only in Central Ohio, not only in the state, in all of America. He's going to have a tremendous opportunity moving forward at the University of Purdue. But before we get there he is, my man, Mershawn Rice from Reynoldsburg High School. Good morning, man. How you doing? Thank you for joining the C.O.H.S.S. today. How you feel?
Oh, I feel great, Still trying to get over my little cold I've been having for a couple days, but, it's cool.
Thank you very much for joining us today, man. I appreciate it. We've talked a couple times over the last couple weeks. It's a pleasure to get you in studio today. So, look, man, let's talk about Reynoldsburg football, okay? Reynoldsburg has been lit all year, okay? But I want to take you back. We're going to talk about a lot of things today, man. The tremendous season that you guys have had, some of the great players that you've been able to play with. We're going to talk about Coach Buddy White and some more. But before we get there, I want to kind of take you back a little bit, okay, to the beginning of the football season. You look around at Reynoldsburg, you guys go to practice for the first time, and you look around and you see yourself and Desmond Cooper and Jeremiah Burton and Canby Goff and some of these great-looking athletes and a good coaching staff. I want you to tell me, what was the vibe starting that first day, and did you guys think that you could put it all together to have the kind of season that we've seen the Reynoldsburg Raiders have this year?
So first practice back, you're looking around, ton of guys, everybody knows each other, everybody's cool, and we knew this was the year we had to make something pop for the culture. And, everybody just had that vibe that we was going to do something special because it was so much talent. And there's no way we can't do anything this season. Everybody looking around, everybody believes in each other, everybody got each other's back. A lot of talent. We couldn't wait for the season to start. We was all excited. We had great practices, great energy. Just everybody just getting better off of everybody. Great competition. And it's just, we knew we was going to do something this season for sure.
Absolutely, man. It's, again, from that very first practice, like you said, you look around and you see all this talent. You're like, man, we have to be able to do something with this talent this year. Now, in some instances, coaches, they put in a system and they, kind of drive guys toward that. And in some situations, in my experiences, especially in high school, you can always get blessed with a great group of young men. You yourself a senior, and as well as some other seniors on that team. Did you want to be a leader to lead this team to heights that Reynoldsburg had never reached before? Was that part of your goal or your motivation starting out the season?
Yeah, it definitely was. I feel like, me personally, I like to lead by example. Whether it's on or off the field, just helping them with anything they need and just being that guy everybody can look to and know he's doing the right thing. So I pride myself on things like that, and that's definitely a priority for me, was leading my team.
Awesome, man. And you've led them well. Believe that for sure. Again, it's been a tremendous season, and you can look here and see some of the highlights of young Mr. Rice and some of the things that he brings to the table on the football field. Now, I kind of want to take you back a little bit further, and let's I kind of want to know, what were some of the sports that you played growing up? What piqued your interest? Has it always been football? Did you take a chance at basketball? Maybe run some track, as we see, you as a skilled position player. Was it always been football, or were there other sports that kind of piqued your interest as well?
So growing up, I went to Whitehall Preparatory Fitness Academy, and for years, from like kindergarten to sixth grade, I did taekwondo, I did tennis, and I did soccer.
Wow.
So then when I moved finally to Reynoldsburg, my seventh grade year, I tried track, and I still play football for EVAA, Eastland Vikings. Shout out to them. It's a great organization. I got nothing but love for them. I still got my towel on my wall in my jersey.
Eastland Vikings. Shout out over there. Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
So I played for them. I tried track. I had growth pain, so I stopped. It was in my heel. My growth plate opened up in my heel, so I stopped that. I just continued football from there on. Eighth grade year, I started playing football for Reynoldsburg. I ain't really talked to nobody. I was real to myself. But then my 9th grade year, I started really getting close with everybody, and it's just been a tremendous class. I love all those guys. It's so many people, so many names. It's hard to remember all of them, but I've been with those guys for years. Ever since I met them 9th grade year, started talking with them, and that's just been my group for my whole high school year. And then the younger guys, all the juniors and just everyone on the team, everybody just close.
So, I mean, you brought up some of the guys, man, and I kind of talked about this earlier. And as you're a receiver, the receiver needs a quarterback to, get him the ball.
Right.
And I want to talk to you about your quarterback just real quick, man, Michael Wadley. I think that he's been underrated as a quarterback in the area this year. We talk about a lot of other guys, but just talk about the poise that you see from him as a young man, a growing quarterback. Last year playing early as a sophomore, this year as a junior, doing tremendous things. What have you seen from him as far as his growth, and where is he going to be able to take this program in the future?
I feel like Michael, what we've worked on with him is being the game manager for the offense, and he's gotten better and better every week. He's had really good practices. He's a great quarterback, great person. I love him, and he's going to improve very well. I can't wait to see what we do for the rest of the year. How I look at it is we got 5 games left. And I know with Michael back there, we're going to have his back. He has our back, and we could do some things.
Absolutely, man. He's been playing tremendous as well. Let's talk about Coach Buddy White, man. Coach Buddy over there, he's been there for a while, man, and he's had some talented players. He's had some talented teams. What you guys, though, have done this year, we've talked about it. Not only was it tremendous, it's been historic. This is the best season that Reynoldsburg's had ever. Big games, beating rivals that you haven't beaten, almost 20 years. Just talk about what you have seen from Coach Buddy, the excitement, the jubilance that the team, has given Coach Buddy White, and how it's maybe re-energized him and given him the love back for coaching this game.
Well, the first thing Coach White stresses, and any Reynoldsburg football player will tell you that, is that the most important thing is grades. If you don't got grades, you're not going to play on the team, and that's just the bottom line. And what Coach White does is, he keeps us energized. We got a ton of energy at practice. He also going to keep it real with you. You mess up, he's going to get in your butt all the time. Everybody knows that, and he just keeps us going. It's great playing for Buddy. Yeah. Practices be a lot of fun. He has that energy. He pumps us up for every game, and it's a great experience personally.
Awesome. And I'm sure that he has had such a pleasure coaching you, young man. The kind of young man you are, the players that you are. Again, we talked about it. Maybe 6, 7 your seniors going to have the opportunity to play Division I football. So it is a tremendous team. Take me now. You did my PSA for me for grades. I was going to get to that. We'll get back to that when we get to Purdue. But you already did my PSA for me about the grades and how important it is. So let's go inside the classroom, not in the classroom, but inside the school. Okay. Talk about the vibe that it's been. How has it uplifted the school, Reynoldsburg High School? Just talk about the energy, how excited the other students have been for the success of the football program this year.
It's been great. I want to shout out the Storm Deck, because those guys be going hard for us, and I love seeing that all the time. And walking around high school is just like, now kids believe in you, believe in the team, and they know what y'all can do. In the last couple of years, it was kind of weird. Everybody doubting us, and we still had doubt this year, but just this team was just different, and we showed up every week. We missed a week at Hannah, but we learned from it. I feel like the Gahanna game was a humbling experience for us, because after that we just started rolling. And what we stress is that we don't want to peak too early or peak too late. And I think right about now we should start peaking. Once again, 5 more weeks left. That's how I look at it. We take it one game at a time, but we won't be practicing on Thanksgiving. And just walking around school, it feels great. It feels really good, and I'm proud of the team.
I'm sure the students have been excited. I'm sure the administration has been excited to see the success of Reynoldsburg and the program. And I mean, you've been a big part of that, man. You really have. Let's go back on the field. All right. We talked about your numbers as a receiver. Well, we haven't talked about the numbers yet, but you can see those. I mean, All-State, just the tremendous plays that we've seen up, just showing your huddle tape here. But I want to talk about defensively, okay? I think that's where really you guys have been the most impressive this year. Your defensive line is tremendous. You got great play from the linebacking core. The name escapes me, but number 25, he stood out on the game film, on the TV of the game. He was tremendous. But I just want to talk about you for a minute on the defensive side of the ball, because people hear your name and they think wide receiver, but you've had 2 tremendous plays defensively this year. 2 90-plus yard interception returns for touchdowns. Just talk about playing defense. Was that always a part of, of your playing style just from the beginning as a freshman, receiver and DB? And is that something that, you're going to head off to college? Do you have any concerns about maybe being switched over to the defensive side of the ball?
So growing up, actually my first position was defensive end. And I didn't start playing defense till later on. I started playing offense later on. I started playing running back. As far as growing up playing football, I played defense. I played defensive end. I played linebacker. I played corner. I played safety. And, defense was always a big thing for me. But when I started getting into high school is when it started changing for me, because we had so much talent at the safety position. It's like, I was back there for my range, basically. We like to show a lot of different looks for the team, offense and defensive-wise. We have a ton of depth when we use it very well. That's what I like. So me just going back to free safety and putting Canby strong safety is just a different look for us. And I'm back there for my range. I've always had good range at free safety, be able to go sideline to sideline. And it's a ton of fun, catching picks and trying to make plays out of them.
Let's go back to the first one, though, against Pick North, because that was a big win. That pick 6, 90-plus yards. The crowd is going crazy. You know what I mean? Like, just tell me about defensively, when you get an interception like that, now most guys are going to go down. They're going to take a knee, you know what I mean, and kind of look around. You're looking up. You're trying to find the next block so you can get that to the house. Is that the offensive part of your game when it takes over, when you get that interception?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it is, because every time I get the ball in my hands, I want to make a great play. I want to get as close as I can to the touchdown or just get in it. And I feel like that's what you have to do and get the ball in your hands, regardless if you're on offense, defense, special teams, whatever the case is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's change gears here. Let's kind of look forward, and not to the playoffs. Those things will take care of itself. But I want to just talk about, your potential future. Okay, Purdue. You've committed to Purdue, and I'm just excited to see a lot of young men from Central Ohio have the opportunity. We're going to Big Ten schools and things of that nature. But like you brought up earlier, Coach Buddy White, strong on the academics, okay? Purdue is strong on the academics. So, again, I want you to take me back and talk about how important education is, not only for you, but what it has allowed you to be able to have the opportunities to go to a school like Purdue and be recruited by a lot of others where that academics are going to be the number one reason that they're coming to see you.
Well, good grades is going to open up a lot of things for recruits, really for anybody by that case. You get a chance at free education in college. That's very expensive nowadays.
Absolutely.
Grades just open up doors for you. And not only has Coach White stressed it, not only Purdue, being a top academic school in the country, but my parents have stressed it. And for me, I've matured a lot academic-wise, and I'm proud of myself for that. And, you got to be on top of your stuff, because when you're on top of grades, and it's just a great feeling.
Let me stop you there and let me go back, okay, because you said something that was very important. You said that I've matured, okay? You said that I've matured, and that is why I became the student that I am. Just talk about that. Talk about the maturity, because you're a senior, and you're going to be gone. And, there's going to be a lot of young men, young women that are listening to this. They're going to see you as a role model of freshmen and sophomores. Tell them, what do you mean by you mature? What did you start doing differently? What did you start taking seriously that allowed you to become a better student athlete?
Well, of course, everybody knows in middle school, you know, you don't have deadlines, and you could, you know, pretty much just mess around a little bit and do whatever you want, then just turn it in at the end of the quarter. Well, when you get to high school, it's a lot different. There's going to be teachers that's going to be on your case, and if you miss that deadline, you're going to get a 50% cut, and then you're going to get 0 the next day. And a teacher that helped me with that was Miss Cox, and she just realizing that she's a great teacher. I love Miss Cox. She's an assistant principal right now, but just it gets real in high school. You got to take care of your stuff. You got to be on top of it. And me, you know, I wasn't as focused as I should have been, but what I've been working on is just getting my priorities straight and time management. Time management is going to be huge for you in school, really in life, especially in college. I know I need to get on my time management, so that's why I'm working on good habits right now. So when next year comes, I'm going to be okay, and then just adapt to that college lifestyle, and I'll be fine.
Absolutely, man. That was awesome.
And another thing I want to say is what really touched me after it happened, Pig Central. It happened yesterday. Is Pig Central? We won the game. You know, celebrating my teammates and everything. And I walking off the field, and the youth football player is just like right there, giving me hugs and that type of stuff. I just love setting a good role, being a good role model for those younger Raiders. And another thing, Lancaster, after the game, a kid comes up to me after my interview, and we take a selfie on Snapchat. Like, I love that type of stuff. It just shows how I know I could be a good role model for the younger Raiders, and it's just a great feeling knowing that those kids gonna look up to you. And I feel like I set a good example, so they should be heading in the right direction. I just love things like that.
Man, we love it even more, man. Thank you for saying that. You are a role model. Young people do look up to you, and that's why it's so important to hear you say how important education is, how important those things are to not only your future, but, you know, to their future. Because when they look up and see you doing it, then they know that they can do it as well. So I just want to thank you again for those words, man. And we're not done, not at all. You know, we got a couple of things, but that right there, I love that. That touched me. Thank you. Education is key. Believe that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, but let's talk about Purdue for a minute. Big win against the Buckeyes. We are in Ohio. Okay. Just tell me how that felt watching that. I know you watched it. You know, that's the university you're going. You was there?
Yeah, I was there.
Talk about it. What was it like?
Oh, it was great. You know, I'm happy it happened the way it did by 29 because my teammates were talking so much trash that week. You know, I just kept silent. I'm not really a big trash talker. But then when the game happened, everybody just like, wow, that's why you chose Purdue. You know, I'm like, yeah. Like, I wasn't really, to be honest, I wasn't really surprised. I knew Purdue was going to pull something because they do it every year. And they have talent and they have great coaches, and that's why I want to be part of the team.
Yes.
But the way they did it by 29 was insane.
It was insane.
It was insane.
Talk about Coach Brom. He's an offensive guy. He knows how to use weapons and develop them. Was he a big part in the reason that you wanted to attend Purdue?
Definitely. You can tell they want to do something big with the program, and I love that. I also love that they only been there this is going on their second year, so they not going nowhere. I'm going to be there with them however long I'm going to be in Purdue. And also Coach Shep and Coach Hodges and just a lot of guys I could shout out. And I just love them. Every time I go down there, I feel like family. Buller up, hammer down.
Awesome, awesome. So, like, we're getting close here to the end. I want to give you the opportunity, okay, to talk about some of the people who have helped you get to this point. Obviously, you brought up some teachers and some guidance people in the school who have been tough on you and, you know, made you, like you said, mature and start to get your and get your education and academics on the level it is, which is outstanding. Again, going to University of Purdue. But let's talk about some, like you talked about, mom, dad, family members, anybody that has been influential to you to help you get to the point where we are today. Mershawn Rice, leading the team into the state playoffs. Let's give a shout out to those people, man, and because we really appreciate that as well.
Definitely shout out to all my family members, and shout out to my teammates really for making me better. Because as teammates, we get on each other about everything, grades, being good on and off the field. Like, we get on each other. We're like a big family. I love those guys to death. I'll do anything for them. Definitely family, because I've been around it my whole life. Of course, they gonna stress it. They know the importance of it. My uncle, my mom, my dad, of course, cousins, whoever it was. But I feel like that type of stuff, you gotta find it in yourself too. You gotta have some self-motivation.
Absolutely.
And when you got self-motivation, nothing can stop you, because the only thing that can stop you is yourself. So once you get that mentality right, you can do whatever you want to do in life, and that's a great thing. But having that support system is also a great feeling too. And I want to shout out my guys. They all know who they are, the seniors. It's too many names to remember, but I love y'all. Let's keep working. We got 5 more weeks left. And not just the seniors, the whole team, really. I love all y'all guys. I'll do anything for y'all. Let's get this money.
The Reynoldsburg Raiders, man. Just congratulations to the whole Reynoldsburg community. It's been awesome to watch. So look, man, all right. So we're in the playoffs now. I'm gonna make this my last question for you, man. I don't want you to have any expectations, okay? But I do think that you guys have a tremendous, talented team. There's only one goal, right? And that's to win the state championship.
Right.
Do you guys feel confident within that locker room that this is something that you guys can do and make history for the high school of Reynoldsburg?
I definitely feel that everybody has hold on. Everybody has that feeling that we gonna make something pop this year, and we know we gotta take it 1 week at a time. We just gotta execute. And right now I'm not with them, but I know right now we're at practice, probably studying Toledo start already, and we know they made the playoffs for a reason. We can't take anybody lightly. We learned our lesson from Gehenna, and we matured as a team as well. And we're gonna take every week slow. We're gonna take care of what we gotta take care of this week. Everything. The coach's stress is that we work on ourselves first, and then we worry about the other team, because we have to be at that level that we want to be, and then we'll take care of the opponents. And us hosting the playoff game is going to be great. A lot of the kids are going to be there. It's going to be a fun game. Can't wait. But right now we're in preparation mode. We're preparing for Toledo start. They're a good team. It was something like they won their conference like 20 years in a row. Like, wow. That's insane. So, wow. We got a tough game. It's a playoff game.
It's been tremendous, man. I want to thank you again. The Central Ohio High School Showcase wants to thank you again for your family, allowing you to come and do the interview. Coach Buddy White and the staff for allowing us to have you this Saturday morning. I'll be honest, man. I'm so impressed with just you and the things that you stand for, and the role model that you want to be. I think it's absolutely tremendous. I'm here as a fan, moving forward to assist in anything that I can help you out with, man. So again, we're going to sign off. We're coming to the end here of the Central Ohio High School Showcase. From my producer, Gary Likens, I am Derrick Owens Jr., and I want to sign off again from Mershawn Rice of Reynoldsburg High School, University of Purdue commit, wide receiver, defensive back. He does it all. And again, like, he shouted out some guys that he said there was so many of them. But Big J, number 53, he's one. Desmond Cooper, Canby Goff, my man Breon Eddings.
Donovan, he just got fresh out of surgery. CB. It's too many. It's too many, but
the whole Reynoldsburg family.
The whole team. The
whole Reynoldsburg family and community.
Especially Kyrique, too. I ain't forget about you, Kyrique.
You hear him back there. There he is. Yeah, for sure.
Man, it's so many. I love y'all to death, man. It's been a heck of a year. We're not done yet, though.
Not done yet,
Can't
man.
wait.
It's been special. It's been special. Thank you again for coming to see me and being in the studio with me. Derrick Owens Jr.
Princeton, too.
The C.O.H.S.S. It's playoff time. All right? We see y'all next week, man, for round 1. Let's get it. Be good.